I'm going to call this meeting to order at 7:01 p.m. We're going to establish a quorum with Brenda Butler, Todd Summers, Jeff Howard, and Ken Knightswander, and Chris McGirt is on his way. And I know that Brenda got the minutes out last week or a couple weeks ago, and everybody had an opportunity to review those. If there are no corrections, deletions to those minutes, I'll accept a motion to accept those minutes in the previous meeting.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second to accept the minutes from the previous meeting. All those in order, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. And then, going a little out of order here. Recognitions of citizens. We all have all firefighters here, not that you're not citizens too. And then Anton from Devine News. And that leads us to the treasurer's report with Mrs. Nancy.
Okay. If you will take a look at it, this is as of November 30th. The taxes are still slow at coming in. For a year to date, which is 2 months, we have just delinquent taxes have come in. And so the delinquent is $1,400 and the penalty and interest is $398. So it's a total of $1,800. That's about $1,100 that came in this last month, so it was very low the month before. Under your sales tax revenue, $405 came in, and then our interest income was $514. I do want to state that, as you probably have heard already, we received notice and received the money this month that we got $33,102 in sales tax revenue as of the 8th of December that came in. Hi, Chris. So that looks pretty nice, seeing that much come in on this second. We had been told we probably wouldn't see anything until January, so the fact that we're seeing that much already. All of the expenditures are pretty normal. We did have the extra $5,000 where it has contracted bookkeeping for the fire department. That was where we paid for the audit review. I shouldn't call it an audit, a review that they did for the 2021 books. And then after the first of the year, when they get past their audits for the year end that ended in September for all of their ESDs, they'll get started on the next year. Other than that, everything's about the same, just the utilities being paid and the regular maintenance things that go on. So not much revenue coming in, but with the fire department's first payment, that puts us $66,000 in income over, expenses over income, which is okay because we sit that way for the first couple of months of the year. On the back, the INS account had a very small amount coming in for the year, $400 total in taxes. We paid 2 payments on the firehouse, which is $15,000, and so that puts us $15,000 in the red. Again, that's kind of where we stand. I believe our first payment that came in this month, it was for some of the November payments, was about $18,000, so it'll look a little better when we get that in. Our bank account is dropping a little because of not having anything come in. It's $88,000, but remember we had paid out some pretty big payments at the end of the year on our firehouse. The money market's at $102, and the INS account is at $28,000. Our firehouse note is sitting with a balance of $474,196, which is very good for where we started several years ago. The payments are listed there for December. All of them are online payments except the 2 that are listed at the very end. The Medina County Appraisal District, that's our first payment for this year, $2388.84, and then the payment to me, making a total of $12,457 for this month.
Awesome.
Okay. Unless you have any questions.
Any questions? Anyone? If not, I'll put a motion to accept the treasurer's report and pay the bills.
Make a motion to accept the treasurer's report and
motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Thank you, Nancy. Okay, item number 6 was discussion of ordinance of appraisal. We had agreed at the previous meeting, a couple of meetings ago, that we would go ahead and, like the cities, counties, and most other ESDs, we would also make a freeze on the taxes for those citizens 65 years of age and older. Ken was nice enough to go get some examples of the wording for that and brought that to the last meeting. Nancy reviewed that, and she was trying to put that together, and she actually did. She put it all together. She and I discussing it, just didn't have enough confidence to use it and do it on our own, and so I sent it to Ken, to our attorney, and just asked him, you know what, if we have time, let's just get it right, let him do it. I know he's done it 100 other times. And so all I had to do him was send him our minutes that we voted on, and he'll put it together and send it to me, and then we'll get that turned in. So that's where we're at on that.
Did he give a turnaround time on that?
He did not, but something like, I don't expect it. I expect to have it before our next meeting, for sure. And whenever we have, we've already voted on it, we just have to take it over there and turn it in.
Right.
On there.
We did get the other ordinance turned in on the sales tax for the telecommunications.
Yes.
And they said that would probably become effective April 1st. They weren't sure, but with it coming in at the end of December, usually falls about the beginning of a quarter when they start something new like that. So
Rats.
we would see that probably start. Maybe they'll back.
The good news on that is, it's a $33,000 check for that month. You gotta remember, that's without the telecom.
Right, yeah.
Right? That's with the exemption in place.
Right.
And so that is, to me, that's encouraging, because it means that the numbers Aubrey gave us are gonna be a little bit closer to what we were hoping they would be.
Yeah.
And so, thank you for taking care of that. Appreciate that.
Item number 7, contents for insurance review. Working on that. Ken will get that to us, and I know he will. He's had the young lady that's working on that has been sick, so he'll get that back to us. And the insurance company said we can come back to him at any time and change that.
He didn't mean Ken, he meant Greg.
Great.
I did mean Greg. Yeah.
It's okay. I know you're tired.
I did mean Greg.
We just had that one
Yeah.
discussion.
So we'll wait to get that. Whenever we do, then we'll send it in, and they're willing to change that for us. And that's just referencing back to getting a really accurate count of what all of our contents are here that belong to the ESD, and just making sure that our insurance covers it. So we are covered, we just want to make sure it's accurate.
And we started that process, and like I said, and then we've had a pretty bad sickness move through our fire department. Flu has hit us pretty severely, and all of us at one point or another have essentially been out. It just so happens it's Miss Heather's turn, and so she's out at the moment, and we hope that she gets better soon. But that's the only thing that's got us delayed, is that we're trying to get healthy and get bodies back in the building.
There's a lot of sickness at the middle school alone.
Yeah.
Last Friday, we had 103 kids out.
So my daughter has been out 3 times in the last 2 weeks. So she was out for 2 days. We thought she was good. We sent her back. 2 days later, she had a temperature of 101. Took her out. They sent her home on Thursday of last week. We got her through the weekend. She looked like she was doing good. Went back to school, and on today, we got a call and she was sick, and it was like,
It'll probably be good to have the Christmas break so they can
everybody can heal
stay
up.
away for a couple of weeks.
Exactly.
Very good. All right, that brings us to the Devine Volunteer Fire Department.
All right. As I discussed, our financial person's out, so I don't have the full report for you. What I can tell you is, much like you all in the first quarter, we are showing a negative at the moment. Not in the bank account, but we are spending more than is coming in. Not uncommon. Our first quarter does that almost every single time. But we know that will straighten itself out. We'll get you a report as soon as she gets back in, and I can get that. Report of calls, 23 incidents in the month of November. 30 personnel were responding, and they did a fantastic job on that. The breakdown on that was, I believe it was, I want to say we had 10 fires, I don't have that total here. It was like 10 fires, 2 miscellaneous, and most of those fires were wildland or controlled burns that were not. I think we only had 1 structure all of November, and the rest of them were outside fires, either car fires or wildland fires, and then multiple accidents and a couple of called and then canceled. But total 23 incidents for the month of November. Still less than 1 per day, which is, again, our call volume all year has been drastically down. And I'm okay with that. I'm hoping this new fiscal year does the same thing, and I hope we stay that way. To give you kind of a reference, I know I've said that a lot this year, but to give you kind of a reference, last year we were over 500 runs. The year before that we were over 400 runs. This year we'll be lucky if we break 3. And so it's not because we have less people. It's not because of any of that. It's just we got lucky this year. That's it. I mean, there's no other way to tell you. I mean, the pendulum swings, and those that have been in emergency services know that very well, and you guys can attest to that. But when it swings toward the years that you have less than 300, you're very afraid of the swing back.
It's a blessing in disguise because that extra time gave you time to train and train.
100%, absolutely.
Yeah,
And we took great advantage. We took great advantage of that. Being that our run volumes were down, we trained a lot this year. We did a lot with our academy. We did a lot of those things, which was very helpful and really gave us a good base, which was nice. So yes, it was absolutely a blessing. But now we prepare for the, like I said, the pendulum to swing back, which is just what's going to happen. Training hours, we trained over 1,000 man hours this month. Almost all of that was in-house. We did have almost 64 hours out of house, but almost everything, everything else was in-house training. That out-of-house training cost us a total of about $650. Yeah, so we were training a lot. We're doing a lot of search and rescue training, doing a lot of smokehouse and reading smoke trainings, things of that nature. We continue to train on obviously extrications and things that we do on the regular. But we really started to focus on, we kind of have a way of looking at some of the things that we need to train on. And part of that is we kind of give it a metric. And if it's high frequency, high danger, but it's something we do all the time, we train on it, but we're pretty proficient in that. If it is low danger, low frequency, okay, well then we'll train on it, but we'll just kind of touch on it and kind of move on. If it is low danger, high frequency, kind of the same deal. We'll touch on it. We'll make sure we're good with it. But where we really get caught up is that low frequency, high danger, right? That's where we focus a lot of our training now. We've talked about the heat release rates are a lot higher now. The houses burn faster. They're harder to get started burning, but once they start, right, they burn faster, they burn hotter. We've still got to be able to do search and rescue. We've still got to be able to get water on it. We've still got to be able to do all these things. So that's what we really focus on, the things that, okay, we may not do them a lot, but when we do them, they're high risk. And that's where we focus a lot of our in-house trainings now. Just trying to ensure that we make sure everybody comes home safe and all of that. So we've done a lot of those over the last month. Some future trainings coming up. We do have obviously the same trainings we do every year. We've got the municipal school coming up, and that'll be in July. Both the municipal school and the industrial school will be in July over at Texas A&M. We've got the spring school coming up before that. That'll be in March, also at Texas A&M. The first part of January, the 8th, 9th, and 10th, a lot of our leadership will be out of town because we'll be at the Leadership Symposium, which is in San Marcos. It's a great place for our fire officers and whatnot to learn their techniques. I will be taking my second year of the Fire Chiefs Academy and actually graduating hopefully with my Chief Executive Officer and getting that actually pinned on. So while I hold the position, I do also want to have the education to back that. Our new Assistant Chief, she will be going to her year 1 for Chiefs Academy, and she'll do her year 2 next year. So we still have a lot of, and then of course our in-house trainings, we're going to continue to train in-house. So we have a lot of trainings coming up, and most of those trainings are actually backed by grants. Both the FEMA grant, the Safer FEMA grant that we got is going to be paying for a lot of those trainings, and also the Texas Forestry Service helps us out with a lot of those training costs as well. Discuss the purchase of the new tender. I will default to the board on that. I don't know far else what to tell you. At this point, I know we were in a holding pattern looking at financing. I think we've given you some good options. I think, look, our prices are something that they're the lowest in 2.5, 3 years. This is the lowest I've been able to show you guys. And so we're definitely in need of a new tender. We need something that carries at least 3,000 gallons. We've started the ISO process. I've submitted our initial paperwork. By March of this coming year, they're going to come in and really start to go through our stuff. And if we don't have a tender on the books, we're going to get hit for water supply. We're going to probably get hit for water supply anyway, but it's going to hurt even worse if I don't have something that can haul at least 3,000 gallons of water. And so I'll leave that in your court. And
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement. We definitely want to give us a good hard look, but I don't have the numbers for all the financing yet. I talked to the local bank here, and they're going to look at it, but they haven't, made a decision. Talking to the loan officer, of course, he's like, yeah, I would love to do it, but just because he wants to do it doesn't mean the bank's going to do it.
yeah,
So anyways,
Yeah.
I plan by the next meeting, hopefully we'll have options, and that'll help us to make a decision.
Well, and
Because for
remember-
us, it's all about budget, right? What is it?
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And-
And a bigger part of that is, hopefully we'll have more sales tax in. We'll
Yeah.
we'll start to see
That'll
some
certainly
trends,
help.
hopefully.
We start seeing more of that, and/or this paperwork we turned off for the online, maybe we can get some more numbers that make us feel better.
Yeah, we'll
Once we
see.
turn that into.
Absolutely.
Did you has a decision been made whether you want to go with the company that's out of state?
So I think, so no decisions were made last time. Basically, the decision was made that we were gonna look into the financing options and see what the options were going to be. And when you all,
Chief sent that information to me.
yeah, and so, I think once, I think kind of the board kind of decided last time that once we have kind of our different options and we know exactly what payments might look like, it would be better, at that point, they'll say, okay, well, we can afford to go this way, or we can afford to go that way, and then, so I think that's kind of what they're looking at.
I think a lot of it was going to drive whether we would have a place for maintenance.
Yeah, for sure.
A big part of it, yes.
Maintenance and then the insurance cost.
So I'm glad you brought up the insurance cost. So we contacted so we actually insure all the trucks, just because it's part of our budget line, and it's easier for us to put all of them on one. It actually gives us a better rate. And then you guys insure some, we insure some. It just makes it easier, right? So we insure all of them. And when we turned it in, our insurance guy said it's not going to be that's not going to be a significant change. He goes, will it go up? Yes, it will go up. I'm not going to lie to you, but he said you're talking maybe $100 a month. Yeah, so it's not going to be a significant.
Better than a car.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Well, they got a big blanket policy.
But that's just it. It's a big blanket policy, and the other thing is use, right? We don't get a ton of structure fires, so while it's great for the ISO and they want to see you have it, the reality is we get maybe 15 structure fires, and that's stretching it. I'm going on the high end, so that truck's not going to roll a ton. And within the blanket policy, our other trucks actually roll more than it will, and that's why it's not.
Oh, I see. Makes
Yeah.
sense. Makes sense.
Let's see, discuss approve ordinance for repealing sales tax. You guys already touched on that. I would like to talk more about the opening of the billing, and we kind of touched on it the last time, and I don't think y'all, actually, I know you didn't make a decision on it because we kind of pushed it to the side, but I would like to discuss, right now, the only thing we're allowed to bill for, let me back up. For us to bill, you have to approve what we bill for. The ESD has the authority on that. So you have to allow us to bill the residents for things, okay? Now, every other ESD, with the exception of us, bills for pretty much most of their services, one way or another. We bill for only car wrecks of individuals who don't live in the district. So in other words, it has to be somebody who lives from Laredo, traveling up 35, gets in a car wreck, then, if they have insurance, we can bill for it. I would like to open that up. I would like to open that up to pretty much most of our calls. Reason being is, yes, the tax dollars afford this service to be here, but when somebody uses that, we need to be able to refill it. We need to be able to recoup some of that money. Again, we will never bill an individual. Not at any time ever will we bill an individual. Not ever at any time will we go after an individual or an insurance company for that matter. What you would give me the permission to do is, if we answer a call and they have insurance, we would send a bill to that insurance. that insurance would either pay it or they wouldn't. That simple. That's where it stops. If they don't have an insurance, it drops right there. No further discussion. It's over and it's done with. If we send it to them, the insurance says, we're not gonna pay it, that's where it stops. It drops right there. I will tell you, when I talked to the insurance companies, they said this is not home insurance and fires and things of that nature. They have no problem paying those policies out. It's not like car insurance. Car insurance, when you get in a wreck, it raises your rate, and the reason is because if you have a wreck, the odds are you're gonna have another one. With a house fire, if you have a house fire, the odds are you're not going to have another one. So if they have to pay out once, they're not gonna just raise your rate. Now you have a second one, you have a third one, that's a completely different story. But statistically speaking, you're not going to have a second one. And so they said we would actually, it doesn't really affect us. And we said we have that money set aside. We have to, because we're collecting the insurance money, that's what it's for. So I would ask that the ESD consider opening up us being able to bill for runs so that we can be able to refill some of those coffers. Yes, Ms. Booth?
Who determines the rates and how much you bill?
Sure.
I mean, is there a standardized?
There is.
Okay.
FEMA actually sets a rate. FEMA has a set of FEMA rates, and that's what we operate off of. So they bill according to, let's say a type 1 engine goes out, that has a rate. And then how many individuals were on it? There were 3 individuals on it. That has a rate. Did you use foam? That has a rate. And all of that rate is a standard across the board rate, and it's all set by FEMA.
Okay.
So.
Who does the billing for you? You have somebody?
Our third party, it's Response Master. It's the same people that we do our reporting system through. It's one of the few companies that actually has a billing company attached to it. And so once we submit our report, they take it, they create a bill, and then if we give them, and they still have to ask us, do we send this bill? Do we not send this bill? And so if we give them the go-ahead, then they send the bill to the insurance company. Before they will send that bill, they check with me, hey, they have an insurance company, we verified with the insurance that this policy is good, do you want us to send the bill? Yes, sir. And then that's how that occurs, so.
So the open billing would be opening up to billing insurance companies even in the area
Correct.
of residents?
Correct.
Okay. I don't really know
I
how
don't know that I
feel
have a
about-
strong opinion one way or the other on that. I feel like I would, just if no, for no other reason, just to get a feeling for what other people are doing or how it's affected them one way or the other. I would
Sure.
want to talk to some other commissioners of other ESDs and just see.
Well, I will tell you,
I understand your argument, in other words, hey, we collect, what's our budget this year? We're hoping to get $485,000 for the year,
right.
and I use that all the time to people, I don't know how many times I get asked, why don't y'all pay firemen and just have full-time firemen? I look at them, I say, well, you tell me,
There's no money.
how many firemen can you pay, and how much of a firehouse can you uphold for less than $500,000?
Can't do it.
And that's when they look at me and go, oh,
Yeah.
you don't get a lot of money. That's not a lot.
Yeah, I understand.
So, I understand what you're saying, is the taxes we're collecting are just kind of really basic, like the bare minimum. It just keeps the doors open and
That's
keeps us going.
Hey,
But every
Greg,
time we incur expense, it increases that.
Yes, sir.
Just to make sure that there's no blanks that need to be filled in the long run, you said that there's other ones that have been billing for this. Is there possible, if y'all agree with it, that maybe we can get 15 to 20 other entities that are currently doing this billing?
Oh, sure.
So just, I mean, no doubting what you're saying.
No, absolutely.
But just to make sure that no one comes around and says,
I
y'all
can get
are
you-
the first
I can get
ones
you a
to build the
list.
wheel.
Yeah,
I'd rather,
Yeah, I can get you an absolute list. And I will tell you, it is, I mean, again, both of your ambulance services in town, right, they're billing, and not just in, so I said in town, in county, sorry. Both of your ambulance services in county, again, most of your fire
I can see an
departments, your
ambulance
SA.
service billing.
I'm sorry?
I can see the ambulance service billing. The fire department, that's the ones I'd like to see, how many of them are billed.
The
Sure, I'll get you that
firehouses,
list.
yeah.
probably more out of county.
I'll get you a list. That's not a problem.
Yeah.
And again, I hear that a lot. I hear a lot of people go, well, I can see the ambulances billing. Well, why could you see them billing and not us? I mean, to be honest, we do a lot of the same job, and we actually do a lot of other things too. And I don't mean that negatively, but I mean, we do some medical stuff. So the things they would be billing
That's
for,
changed, though.
that's true.
Yes.
It has changed to a certain extent, but that's the stuff we're talking about. You know, I don't know how many citizens I've talked, and I would ask you, please, by all means, go out and ask the citizens. I don't know how many citizens I've talked to that said, hey, my mom said you sat with them for an hour while they were waiting on the ambulance. Thank you, I appreciate that. You know, hey, my dad said that, well, I'll just give you a prime example. We had a call without getting too far down the details because I people lost. We had a call here a little while back, supposed chest pain, possible heart attack. We arrived, my EMTs went and did a fantastic job, assessed the situation, realized it was not a heart attack, realized it was actually a breathing issue that was leading to a lack of oxygen going to the heart, which made it feel as if it was a heart attack, and gave a breathing treatment right there on the spot. That person didn't even have to get transported by an ambulance. We actually saved them money significantly by responding medically. But all of the things we used that day, we were out that money. And so, and to be honest, that's just a small portion of it, you know. Every time we go out and we use foam and we use, all of these things that we must use, or we break a tool on a scene, or we bust open a hose line or whatever, we got to be able to recoup that. We got to be able to fix that. And so our responses are no different than what EMS does in the fact that we have to backfill what we're putting into it. And so I can absolutely get you the list. I think that's an absolute fair, adequate ask. I will get you, and I know I've got.
So I don't have a big objection to it. I just, if it's, within our purview, if it's legal, and, we've done a lot of things to help generate more income.
Sure.
For this firehouse in the many years I've been here. And because of that, our services have improved,
At least we'll have that on record, so once we
Yeah.
do vote on that.
And I think
would I
Absolutely.
love to have 3, 4, 5 firefighters here 24 hours? I would love that.
Yeah.
But the only way we're gonna get that is money. To get them here.
The other thing, sorry.
And just to confirm with what you're saying.
Yes, sir.
Like if they pay, they pay. If they don't, they don't. So if they don't pay, they're not going to be receiving like a
No one
second
will go
notice,
out to them.
a third notice,
No,
a
sir.
fourth notice, or
No, sir.
you're
No.
going delinquent or anything
No,
like
sir.
that.
I think that's what, if I were the board, I'd like to see a policy or something written up.
Sure.
Because
SOP.
while you're here, we know that will happen. When you're gone, maybe 10 years from now,
Here's the great thing about the board. You did
Hopefully
take that.
30.
I know, but we may not know that that's happening. Let's say you're.
I get what you're saying.
We
but-
may not know until somebody comes and say, they've been hounding me about this bill,
Right.
and, we didn't know it was happening.
Sure. But to be fair, that can be said about any rule that you make. You know what I mean? And I don't mean that negatively, but you guys dictate what we're able to do. You can say, look, you get one shot, send them the bill. If we don't.
But just as you may roll off, we may roll off,
Yes, ma'am.
and somebody might not remember. If we've got something down in writing,
Yes, absolutely.
just
Yeah.
that you have a policy
Where is
that you're going to
written
handle
right
it
now
this
that it's
way.
not?
It would be in the minutes, and it's actually we wrote an SOP for that because we write our SOP off of what's in the minutes. We write off of what they approved. And when we initially came, their initial approve was, okay, you can bill for car accidents, but only non-district people.
Okay.
Because the argument at the time was, Miss Sally down the road has been paying in to the taxes for the last 20 years. Okay, it hasn't been here for 20 years, but you get the point. Has been paying into the taxes for the last 10 years, and so why should she have to pay for, something to happen? And my argument to that was, okay, but the 18-wheeler going down 35 hasn't paid a dime, so why should he be using Miss Sally's taxes? And they were like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Okay, let's refill the coffers, right? My argument to start that was the same argument I'm making here today. And the reality is, anytime we use our stuff, much like the ambulance service, we have to refill it. We have to fix it. We have to put it back. And the way that comes from is billing. And so we do not want to be a menace. Look, I say it all the time. My family lives here too. I don't want to be a menace. I don't want to cost more people more money if we don't absolutely have to. But there has to be a certain side of this that we say, hey, when we go out and we use X, Y, Z, we've got to be able to put it back. We've got to be able to pay for that. And, also, the emergency, when you talk about the emergency response, Todd, and you were talking about how it's improved each time we've found different ways to bring in money. You know, I'd love to have 2, 3, 4, 5 people on 24/7 the whole 9 yards. But the only way that's ever going to happen is if we can find a way to generate funds. And I go back to, you know, when I got here, our funding was you guys. We now make up 2/3 of our funding, right? And so, and this would be another way we would be able to do that. And so the idea is the more we're able to refill the coffers from the people who are using the services, that provides more services for everybody across the board. And I agree with you. I don't want to hound anybody. We can absolutely put in an SOP. It would be based off the minutes, but I can write it so you can see it beforehand, so you can approve it, whatever. But the whole goal, and so a local department that does this, I'll just tell you, More Fire does it. They use the same company we do. They use Response Master, whole 9 yards. You know, ESD1, they bill. Of course, now they're a fire EMS place, but they bill for fire runs. They bill for all of that. And I'll get you a full composite list, but this isn't an unheard of thing. And it really helps us be able to provide more services and be able to help our community stay safer. And that's our goal.
And this third-party company that you use to do the billing, this Response Master?
Response Master.
Oh, Master. Do they get a percentage of the bill?
Yes, ma'am.
What percentage?
Yeah, it's, I would have to look. I believe it is 10% or something like that. It's not much. So typically on a $1,000, $1,200 bill, they usually end up keeping like $100. Yeah. And that's their fee.
Response Master?
Yeah, that's their fee. Like they don't charge us anything. That is their fee.
Are they a Texas company? Are they
So,
county?
ironically, yes, they're
federal?
actually built by firefighters. They are a Texas company built by Texas firefighters. Now, they are not local, I will say that. Most of them are out of the Houston area.
Okay.
But they do they do a really good job, and the company's only been around about 3 or 4 years. But a lot of our reporting systems weren't doing what we needed as firefighters, and so they went out and built this new system. It's still not perfect, but they're working on it. They're getting it there. And the biggest part is they put into that. You used to have a third-party billing on your own. They actually built that into the system. So really, it makes it really easy for us, because then we submit our report and they generate a bill off that, and then because of the guidelines we give them, they say yay or nay, we can send it, and then they confirm with us, hey, do you want me to send this? Yes, boom. So it's a really great setup the way they have that done.
So I got 2 questions. One that's for us as a ESD. Is this something that needs to be approved by the ESD, or is this something that a fire department can do on their own?
No, this by law has to be approved by
Yeah, they
you.
come by us.
Okay.
I can't do it without your approval.
Okay, so that brings me to the second question. Can we get an illustration, some examples of what the billing looks like when it's sent to an insurance company?
Oh, sure.
Maybe we need to present to the attorney or anything, make sure everything's right.
Yeah, we can absolutely get that. That's not a problem. I can. So you're looking for the actual invoice that gets
Yes.
printed off and sent out. Yeah, we can absolutely do that. That's easy.
And I think it goes to insurance companies, it doesn't go to an individual.
Correct. It only goes to insurance companies. As a matter of fact, Response Master, even if I said send this to an individual, will not. The only time an individual might end up with one is if they are self-insured. If they claim to be self-insured, obviously they become the insurance company. Outside of that, it will not go to an individual. They will not send it to somebody. It will only go to insurance companies.
Okay. No, I think that's great, and thank you, Chris, those are good points, and that'll give us a little more data to hopefully make everybody a little
Absolutely.
more comfortable one way or the other. Okay.
Is there a way to, I guess, apply that to our past year to see what you could have? Does that make sense?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I don't know if I can go back and look and see what we would have generated. I'll ask the guys that run that site for us and
I mean, you
see
would
if
have
we
You
don't
don't know who would have paid and who wouldn't have paid.
No,
Yeah.
but I'm talking about these bills
It
would have
would
gone
just- it would
out.
just-
What's the possibility?
Kind of like
That's
a
what
best
I'm
case
looking at.
scenario.
Yeah.
if every
I
company-
can show
this is
you-
You got
what
the
we
calls
made.
and how many people went out, what went out.
What I can show you is of the bills that have been approved to go out, right? What you guys allowed me to do. I think we've now sent 112 bills have gone out. Of those, I think 27 have been paid. All others have died for one reason or another.
Wow.
And they're not pursued. It's just, now, those 27 are pretty substantial. One of those went to the railroad, God bless them.
Is there a cost associated with each and every single bill that goes out though?
To us, they take a percentage of each, but it doesn't actually
That's
cost
received.
us. Right,
So-
correct.
So if it's not received.
If it's not received, it's,
Right.
yeah, so of what's received, they take their percentage and that's it.
So it's a win-win.
It's a win-win. That's why we do it.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Homework.
As far as, I'm done after that. Sorry.
And I'm spent.
And that's it.
Moving on to old business, diesel fuel tank, y'all gave me authorization to finish that up. I called the guy and talked about the pan, we didn't have a pan on this one. And I don't know why, after I called, spoke to him, and I haven't followed back up, and neither has he, so I'll follow back up. I had a lot going on this past month, so I will get that done. Just didn't do it yet. New business, the safety conference in Irving, Texas, February 22nd to the 24th. As commissioners, that is always an open door and encouraged for anybody who would like to go to the conference. And it's something that we would bill to the ESD for your time there, hotel room, all that, all the above, because you can go there and get some great training that is geared specifically towards ESD commissioners there. And that's it. So just,
Chief, do you know when the deadline is for registering?
I don't know the exact deadline. I will tell you this, that last year I got in like the last week of. So I know they'll run it right up to, as long as they have room,
Yeah.
right? Now, if they sell out, they sell out. But as long as they have room, I know they run it right up to about the time to get in there.
Okay.
I would highly encourage that if you don't all want to go, that's okay, but I would highly encourage at least one or two of you going, because I will tell you, the breakout sessions up there, and well, that's where we learned all about the sales tax. That's where we got the initial information for that. They do a ESD member 101, and hey, this is what Chapter 775 says. This is why it's important. Ken is there every year, instructing and teaching, and
I'm
this
definitely
is
gonna
what you
consider
look
going. I gotta go look and see if I'm gonna be in town or whatnot, but.
And they used to hold it, they're moving it this year. They used to hold it at Kalahari, which was
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Pretty nice.
Yeah, it was nice. But this year, I think I don't know, it's in Irving, I think, this year.
Yeah, okay. And then the new application for new ESD commissioners, so the county has put out, in the past, we've never had a formal application for anybody who wants to be a commissioner. Somebody wanted to be a commissioner, we take their name, pertinent information, and we submit that to the Commissioners Court. Commissioners Court votes on it, approves it, they tell us they're good, and then we would swear them in, and that's pretty much how it went. And they have come up with an actual application just to create some uniformity among all the different ESDs. And so we have that, and so anybody going forward that is either going to be new onto the board or renewing their term, which all of our terms are 2-year terms, and unless you took over somebody else's term, well, you'll finish out their term and then renew, and sometimes that's 6 months, sometimes it's a month, and then you have to renew before it starts over. So that's not really any matter of contention or anything, it's just something they've provided us and asked everybody to use so that they have some uniformity going forward as far as that goes. And so we'll have that.
Todd, I do want to mention, just so they know, we have 2 commissioners that renew in 1 year and 3 that renew on the other year. So Todd and Jeff will renew in January of 25. The other 3 renew in 24. So this application will need to be filled out for the other ones, which is Chris and Ken and Brenda. When you fill it out, we send it in, and then, but this has to be notarized. So you need to note that it needs to be notarized. I've been a little concerned about some of the questions on here because it asks that you should complete this National Incident Management Systems overview for senior officials. And you answer the question, have you completed it?
Yeah, and
I don't even know where you get it,
And there's, this is not, it's a matter of contention throughout the county right now because they're, by law, and So I'm just saying this because I've had some conversation with people about this. I don't know that the county can even require us to do this. It's more something they're asking of us. And so what I would say to that is we should give it a little time because it's brand new, and from talking to our county commissioner, it has not been very well received throughout the county. So I'm just putting it out there because it was sent to us. But it is not a requirement as far as I know, and I've read a lot of, I haven't read the whole book, but I've read a lot of it in there, and it is not a requirement. That is not one. When you look at the requirements for being an ESD board member, that's not one of them. Okay?
Yeah.
So
That's
it's
what I
just not.
noticed too.
You know?
Like you need to train to be an ESD board member.
Yeah.
You need some extra training.
If I may on that. So I will tell you that as a taxing entity, as an ESD, as a special district, the only jurisdiction that the county commissioners have over you is that they can remove you or deny you upon approval, right? They can only do that if there is cause, okay? Now, that being said, obviously we want to play nice with others. And there should be some training to being on this board. The reality is, your oversight, you have the legal authority for fire in this district. I just want to be clear on that. You have, if somebody is unhappy with the fire whatever coverage, yes, they can come to us, but legally, it's you who has that authority. So I would always suggest, make sure you're trained up on that, make sure you understand what that means, make sure what comes with that. The National Incident Management System, the NIMS, is it's the way emergency services operate nowadays. For us, we have to be NIMS 100, 200, 700, 800. A lot of us have 300 and 400. It goes on to doing all of these things. The overview is basically understanding what the NIMS system is, which is NIMS was the federal government's way of trying to fix some of the problems after 9/11. 9/11, we found out that a lot of these jurisdictions couldn't talk to each other for different reasons. 10 codes here weren't the same as 10 codes over there. These people weren't talking the same as these people. These guys didn't have the same equipment as these guys. So what NIMS did is they said, hey, we need to make this a little more universal. So if we have a major incident, we can talk to each other. They want you guys to understand that, to understand your legal authority and what you need to be asking of the fire department that you work with. I'm all for that. Back to the application, it is absolutely a suggestion.
Yeah. What I would say to you guys is review it if you haven't yet. Take it home with you, review it. If you have any questions, you can ask me. I may know the answer. The go-to person for questions on that or concerns with that is Keith Lutz.
Yeah.
That's where it came from. Basically came out of his office and the county attorney. And Danny Lawler, you can reach out to him too.
Sure.
He's fielding questions for this, but that's how I would like to leave it tonight, is just review it, see what you think about it. If you have any questions, concerns about it, Danny Lawler and Keith Lutz are your guys, and if you don't have their number, I can give it to you because I have both their numbers.
It says here under C, appointed individuals should. It doesn't say must.
Right.
Exactly.
Because they can't,
And it's to get a general knowledge,
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
Right.
yeah.
Well, and that goes back to, we used to just send them this basic information and say, hey, we got a guy who's really interested, and they'd approve it or not approve it. So this is their way of trying to say, hey, let's uniform the information coming in, so we have a better way
They
to.
pushed it out.
If you wanna fill
I
it out,
believe they
yeah.
expect some pushback
Yeah.
that maybe changes the form to where everybody maybe gets happy with it. You know what I mean? So I think we just leave it at that. Okay. And with that, one item that was not on the agenda because it just came up and it is something that I'm not happy about, but we have to deal with. And so we're not going to have any discussion on it because it's not on the agenda, but I have to let you guys know. So Brenda here, who has been a board member since 2015 and been a very, very loyal and wonderful board member, due to circumstances out of her control, will not be renewing her commission here effective. Her term ends on December 31st anyways. And so she will not be renewing in January, and she has provided us her resignation letter. And so it goes with a sad heart of my own because she has been really, really good to work with over all this time. Because she and I were not quite a year apart coming on when I was here. And so we're gonna be on the hunt, everybody, for somebody else.
Another volunteer.
Not that she can be replaced, but we'll ask somebody else to help us out in her place.
Hey, I replaced a good person already,
Yeah,
Gina
yeah.
Jenkins, she was a good girl, so
We're gonna miss you, mister.
thank you.
So I'm just gonna leave it at that, and you're gonna be very much missed,
Very much so.
very much so.
Thank you.
Well, I might drift in every now and again and see what's going
Well, you
on,
know where we're at, come on.
if I'm available.
It'd be nice to have some public out here with me, you know?
I know.
And with that, I would
Yeah.
like to acknowledge the next meeting, which should be January the 16th.
Yes.
Same time, same place.
And Brenda, you will do these minutes up, right?
Just checking, you're gonna finish this out, right?
You can always sit out there and just
I know, and keep writing the minutes.
make believe. Make believe you did his
Y'all
job.
ready?
That was
Well, good answer on
And
like the
with
minutes.
that, I'll accept a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I have a motion to adjourn the meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Just for